Hello and welcome to the next video of my LCP preview series. We're covering MGN Vikings Esports, a combination of two squads that were in the VCS last season. So I'm not going over their last three seasons worth of results, in part due to Vikings Esports being relatively new, taking the place of Saigon Buffalo. I know last year people were upset that I did not credit them with Saigon Buffalo's achievements because apparently somebody said, oh yeah, you can take them. I'm not giving somebody credit for something someone else did. And now, with this in mind, MGN joining forces with Vikings means that there's other voices in the room, and that has to be contemplated when we're talking about this team. Now, going into this season, I have them ranked second. Statistically, they are very, very good, and second seems like a ceiling for me. Unless whether it's Talon Esports or it's GAM Esports above them remains to be seen. But I think they're going to be competitive in the upper half of the LCP throughout the season. In top lane, you have Kratos. Kratos didn't play many games last season. He hasn't played many games in general. Just two splits across two seasons. But apparently he's pretty good. We'll see how he looks when he actually has to play a full year, and then really, crown him with anything. I mean, statistically, he's fourth best going into this season, and I don't think that's that far off if he hasn't really performed for longer than one split at a time. 3 KDA, 52.7 KP, 8.4 CS per minute. I mean, high resource, zero point 0.7 share differential, 1.35 ROI, so comes out positive in the share differential. That's nice, especially for a 19-year-old. Don't get me wrong, he probably has a bright future, and he could end up being one of the better top laners in the LCP, but I'll believe it when I see it. Down 100 gold, 2.81 vision efficiency, 9 champions in 25 games. Kaysante, Aatrox, and Gwen were 72% of his champion pool. So really keyed on the Kaysante big time during this past season, and that's to his detriment as well. I think people need to respect the fact that, hey, I mean, he did play a lot of that OP champion that people hate seeing. And he's the only player, though, that doesn't have a backup behind him to threaten him for his job, which is interesting on the roster. Guri in the jungle is ranked second going into this season. I think that's high, given we have a region with Junjia and Karsa and Levi. But statistically, he's second at 21 years old. 3.8 KDA, only a 67.2 KP to pair with a 6.6 CS per minute. I mean, with Viking Esports last season, he played very well. Higher resource with the 6.6, in the lower KP, not as involved. His team's fighting away from him, and that could happen in Vietnam with how aggressive the players are. Now, negative 1.5 share differential, though. Very efficient. One of the most efficient junglers in the world when it comes to team resource allotment. 1.33 ROI. Very high in the damage department, which is why his share differential is so good. But down 120 gold at 15 minutes. So the top side of the rift here, yeah, they're so good, this, that, and the third. They're behind at 15 minutes in Vietnam. So how are they going to do when they have to play better players maybe in Talon Esports, or playing GAM more often, or CFO with players like Driver, Rest, and Junja. Like, we have to be respectful of that. 3.32 vision efficiency, needs to be more efficient with vision, but is only 21 years old, played 18 champions in 72 games. What about this champion pool? Maokai, Zyra, Lee Sin, 39%. So very wide champion pool. Did not key on a couple champions. Behind Guri is Sansan. Sansan only played 2 games with Baby Whales last season, so very inexperienced. The stat lines are 3.4 KDA, 56 KP as a jungler, 6.8 CS per minute, 1.27 ROI. Played a different champion each game. I mean, he's not going to push Guri for this job. Katie is in mid. Katie was pretty high resource last season in Vietnam, and we don't take just his summer, but we also take his spring and summer into account. He had a decent share differential. I know in my last video I said, Katie had a terrible share differential, and that was going into Worlds. He had one of the worst. But we take spring into account, it wasn't as bad. Going into this season, he's ranked third. I think middle of the road, third to fifth is fair. 4.2 KDA, 66.4 KP, just under 10 CS per minute. Still had a 3 share differential and 1.6 ROI, which is pretty good given the high resources. For a mid laner, he's up 460 gold at 15 minutes, so getting ahead in the laning phase. 3.41 vision efficiency, very efficient. When he gets ahead, he's finding ways to help his team. 19 champions in 82 games. Oldest, well, not oldest player, second oldest player on the team at 25 years old. Corki Tristana Oriana, 45% of his champion usage. So just under half with those traditional champions. An interesting player is Chica behind him. So Chica played with DRX in Academy last season. That is in the LCK. Had a couple Vietnamese players in Korea, which is rare. Seldom do you see Korea importing players. But he did decent, and I wonder, he's probably the guy for the future for this team. Had a 3.6 KDA, a 69 KP, a 9.2 CS per minute. All very good numbers, especially for a young player. And then a 1.83 ROI. 20 champions in 45 games. I mean, a very, very aggressive player, not only in the case of dealing damage, but also in champion selection. Shogun, one of my favorite players. I mean, this past Worlds, he left a lot to be desired, and this year he's going to have to step it up in a big way. Statistically, he is second. That's just not me saying that. He's second going into this season. I think at his best, he can be that good. He's only 20 years old still. 4.1 KDA, 66.4 KP, 9.4 CS per minute. Senna was one of his most played. He also played a couple like Nautilus games and Ornn games and things like that in the bot lane. 3.5 KDA, 1.64 ROI. This team has an even share differential, so theoretically it is balanced from a carry perspective. Up 290 gold at 15 minutes, 2.46 vision efficiency, 21 champions in 82 games, ranked second, 20 years old. Ezreal, Ziggs, and Ashe account for 35% of his champion pool. So you take the Senna games and Nautilus games and all that, put them together. I mean, it's a bigger portion than you normally see in an AD carry, especially the Nautilus and Ornn. I guess the Nautilus and Ornn. He didn't play much Senna. His Senna stinks, now that I think about it some more. Either way, 35%, I mean, hell, he plays a lot of different stuff down there. Like I said, one of my favorite players. I'm not going to hide that. Style is behind him. Style definitely is the player on this roster that is capable of pushing the player above them. Style's been around the block for a while. Now, statistically, last year, if he was a starter, he would rank 7th in his role. But he is an experienced player that's went to international events before and deserves respect. 3 KDA, 66.6 KP, and 8.4 CS per minute. Very low resource. 3.4 share differential, 1.67 ROI. Behind 280 gold at 15 minutes. 2.82 vision efficiency, 17 champions in 57 games. Alongside Shogun will be Sword Art. Yes, Sword Art, who played with TSM. He also played with, obviously, Flash Wolves and had a long, successful career. And well, he's gonna play for a Vietnamese team now, really changing it up. 4.3 KDA, 73.2 KP last season on a decent team, one of the upper teams in the PCS. So 3 out of every 4 kills I expect him to be quite active. Negative 5.7 share differential, 0.82 ROI, decent damage out of him. I expect him to be the shot caller for this team. 45 gold ahead, 1.82 vision efficiency, 17 champions in 71 games, ranks 3rd in his role going into this season. I mean, he could be 3rd best if he had a second wind and had another prime. I doubt he will be that good, but he could be 4th or 5th. 28 years old. Leona, Braum, Nautilus, 41% of his champion pool. Behind him is Su Long. Su Long played 9 games last season, 1 in the VCS. Had a 4.4 KDA, 54.5 KP, 0.89 CS per minute. I mean, dealt a lot of damage for not involving himself all that much. 7 champions in 9 games. S of M is the coach. Yes, former jungler. S of M, he's also a co-owner of this team. I think he might be the general manager. He's like everything. Last season, he made his debut in the coaching role. 18-6 in the regular season for a 75% win rate. Playoffs, he went 14-10 for a 58% win rate. Went to Worlds and did not win a game in play-ins, which was a big disappointment, especially for me, somebody that was championing this team to do something, and they've made some changes and are stronger for it, in my opinion, especially in the top lane with Kratos over Nanu. Now, in terms of the support role, I think BA is still a very good player in Sword Art. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. So, this team I have second. I think they're going to be very competitive, and they have a chance to be second, in my opinion. So, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.